Hello, everybody. Thanks, everyone, for coming by. Today, I have a special segment. We will be having two guests with us for this special VTuber NewsDrop segment. And thank you all, everyone, so much for being part of the charity marathon. Highly appreciated. With me, I will have two guests. I will have Clawmaster and Jimmy, who are both field correspondents. And we're going to talk about the behind the scenes. All right. I have you all on now. Feel free to introduce yourselves. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Hey guys, I'm currently live. Can y'all see yourselves on the screen?
Give me 1 second. See if I can look it up real quick.
Yay.
Yep, I see myself.
Let's go. All right, so let me go through the slides. Seems like the audio is all good. Okay. All right, so my special topic is talking about the behind the scenes of what we do at VTuber NewsDrop, especially for those that are field correspondents. What do we do when we're actually on the scene, and what are the experiences that we have that may not be told in the final publication? So here are the behind the scenes, and then our two guests, Clawmaster, who covered Anime Expo 2025, and Jimmy, who covered Anime NYC 2025. And I'm Nethyr. I'm the host of this. I go by they, them pronouns, and then I'll pass it over to Jimmy.
All right. Hey there. My name is Jimmy, but I'm also known as Loki Pokey, and I go by he, him pronouns.
And Clawmaster.
Hello, everyone. You just saw me a few minutes ago, but my name is Clawmaster, and I go by he, him, and I am also a field correspondent for VTuber NewsDrop.
Sweet. Thank you all so much for being part of this. So I have like 5 questions for y'all. But we're going to first start with as a warm-up question, what were your guys' top 5 favorite moments of covering the event that you were assigned for? And then we can first start with Anime Expo 25 since I have the photos right here.
Yeah, so I would say when it comes to top 5 moments on Anime Expo, it had to be the Fantastic Reality event that I was invited to go cover. Fantastic event. I enjoyed the entire concert, and it was a lot of fun to do. It was very much a great production. Able to see Daryl to perform live was really cool to see her in the band, as well as like this whole thing put together by Maria. So I'm like really happy to see it come together, and it went out very well. Outside of that, it was definitely the VTuber gathering that was held by Raz, the person behind the Hollow Takeover group. Put together like a kind of like a quick like VTuber gathering of all sorts. They included both indies and corpos, as well as VTuber fans as well. And then I would say those are 2. I would say walking around and like seeing something like seeing the Chubidoki mask, and I was walking around the artist alley and seeing that pop up and ask the person, so it's like, hey, can I take a picture? And she was fine with it. She even said like, no, like Chubidoki loves this. Like she actually like encouraged to sell this. So it's like, all right, cool. But that was pretty cool. And then last but not least, like going around the con and seeing as many VTuber stuff as I could. And it's funny because like when I go to anime conventions nowadays, like VTuber stuff is like the niche when it comes to anime conventions, which makes my job a lot easier because it just means like less things to worry about. But it is also something that's interesting to see that there are a small part of the whole anime world / culture when it comes to these cons and the fandom. So it's interesting to see. But those are pretty much like kind of like a short highlights of like Anime Expo in terms of like, you know, what I really enjoyed going there.
Okay, so for Anime NYC, I right now don't really have 3 things but like I can just quickly go over them real quick. So I think the first thing that I really enjoyed would be like engaging with the community. So when it came to Anime NYC, there was a lot of turnout for the Hololive booth. So there was like often these like events that would be hosted there. So there was, I think, karaoke. There was a regular karaoke where you could basically sign up, do karaoke, and basically be judged by a few of the Hololive talents live. That was pretty cool. It drew a lot of turnout. We also got a mix of EN and JP talents show up to do karaoke with with a lot of turnout. I'd say, and like the community is like super chill. They're very inclusive, and like actually part of my coverage here, like if you look at the picture on the top right, that was from the Gramarin and Pebbles meetup that was hosted in collaboration between the two community servers. And the story of how I actually got there was pretty interesting because I was in the middle of the exhibit hall. I was wearing my Bijou happy, and then somebody suddenly asked me, say, "Hey, like you're missing out. There's a meetup happening right now outside." I was like, "Oh, cool." So I just basically ran with him towards the back of the convention center to um to see his meetup, and it was like pretty nice. There was about 200 plus like fans from not just not just fans of Gigi, not just fans of uh Bibu, but also just like various other Hololive fans around, and they were passing out freebies. They were passing out little 3D printed like um pebbles and grims. It was pretty cool, and um, that was like a pretty big highlight of my moment because if it weren't for that one fan that noticed my happy and notifying me of this event, I would have probably missed it. And my second point would be like explaining my role, like here as a contributing photographer for VTuber NewsDrop to artists, exhibitors, and attendees. That's also has been a big highlight of me because many people also kind of like respect the role that I kind of play and like in providing coverage. And also just a lot of the people I talk to, they're very chill and they love the work that I do, and I also in turn also love the things that they're doing in the community. So that, and then also like another thing would be like the convention itself was also very big. It's similar like what Clawmaster probably experienced with Anime NYC. I mean, sorry, Anime Expo, and so there was a lot of ground to cover. But since like I'm only here covering the VTuber content, it's definitely a lot more concentrated. It's like, oh, I just need to go here, 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 and then that was that.
Right, right. I'm trying to think of a favorite story. Um, I can say this like so when I went to the Fantastic Reality event at Anime Expo last month, I was in line to get into the VIP because Maria put us as VIP to cover the event, and I was standing there, and I still happened to recognize the person in front of me because she was part of the VTuber orchestra at OffKai Expo, and she turned around because I was wearing this big badge that I made recently, where it has my face and my name and the VTuber NewsDrop outlet on it, as press, and it was kind of big, so you couldn't miss it. So I was wearing that, and then she turns on, she looks at it, and then looks at me, and she tells me, "Oh, I really enjoy what you guys do at the VTuber NewsDrop website. You guys are doing a really good job." And I was like, "Oh, awesome, thanks." So a couple minutes pass, and I get to the front of the line, And I'm assuming this was already taken care of, like, or on the list. But I was kind of worried, like, oh, maybe something might have happened or anything of that nature. So I get there. Before I get in, I introduce myself, who I am, and what outlet I'm coming from. And the guy next to him that was checking the list of people to let in for VIP,
Mhm.
he just looks at him and just like says, don't worry about it. so like they gave me the ribbon or the thing to put on my arm to get in. And for that moment I was just like, wow, this badge has this news outlet badge has like have some power to it. So
Mhm.
yeah, it made me wonder. So I was like, oh, if I can get it into this, might go into other places as well. So but yeah, no, it was a lot of fun that night. It was a lot of fun, regardless. So that's probably one of my stories I can tell from Anime Expo.
Nice. And you, Jimmy? Hello?
Okay, there it is. So I had so like I was mentioning, like this is the first time I've been to Anime NYC. So I
Mhm.
actually really have like two moments that didn't make it to the final like article. I'd say is like um part of my shot list at Anime NYC involved taking a picture of Corey Ujo's booth, and when I actually like, it was actually a very wholesome interaction we had between each other. Like, first when I was passing by, she complimented my happy. I was wearing the Bebo happy as I was mentioning
Oh.
earlier, and then she then saw my press badge. She's like, "Ooh, your press." And then I mentioned that like, "Hey, I work for VTuber NewsDrop," and then she kind of like lit up. It's like, "Oh, cool. I love the work you guys do for everything." And I believe Corey has worked with VTuber NewsDrop on a few occasions, so that was like a big highlight.
Oh,
And
that's cool.
I would say I had pretty similar experiences to Clawmaster as well when it came to like my press badge. Like I was able to kind of like people whenever like I take pictures of like things at the booths or maybe like a meetup and events, people kind of like, oh, like they know like, oh, cool, you're a press badge, or you're covering this event. And I often like to explain to them, hey, like I work for VTuber NewsDrop. I'm here. I'm basically here for a news agency that basically covers VTube, only VTubing, and they're like very cool, and they're very chill to the idea of. And I was thinking maybe we actually started looking up our website for like the news. I was like, yeah, like definitely. Um, I do feel like many people kind of do appreciate the additional like representation that we provide, and like in like gathering the news and kind of like sharing it out in a very neutral standpoint.
Mhm.
And then I think the last point would be so I in New York I did attend the Hololive third English concert, All for One. So I was there for Sunday only, and after after the event I started looking around for any folks that was willing up to get dinner, and then slowly bit by bit we started like assembling a crew of like 10 people,
Oh my
and
god.
we all went out for pizza. Like it was a very fun. It was like because like
Nice.
I was wearing a beat. I was basically I was representing like pebbles for a beat for Bibu, and I found another pebble. Then um I found a bunch of like gremlins, and then and then it just kind of got bigger and bigger until we were like, hey, you know what? We all just like walked back towards Radio City, and then we found a spot nearby. So it's like basically it was kind of like pizza for one in a way,
Aw.
like all for pizza kind of a moment. It was really funny, and then we kind of made a vow to like hopefully meet back up to get again for next year for like if there's a EN4 happening at the same venue for next year. So it's kind of like does really show the power of like this community and like how tight knit everyone could be. Because like many of the folks that I spoken to all came from the West Coast, which is also where I'm from.
Oh,
That was
okay.
very nice to know.
Gotcha. So y'all could like meet up sometime. I'm gonna
Yep.
talk a little bit more about that. You referenced this a bit when you were talking a bit, but you said this is your first time attending Anime NYC. Clawmaster, for Anime Expo, was that your first time attending AX, or was that another? Have you been there before covering?
Um, so in terms of attending as an attendee, I've been going to AX for I'd say I want to say a good couple of years, maybe even more than that. At this point, since I live here now in LA. But when it comes to as a coverage wise for VTuber NewsDrop, um, this would be the first year under the outlet I covered the con. And I guess the like 2 years ago when I also went for to cover it, even though I didn't, I got a badge, but I didn't get the press badge. But this time around for this year, I did get a press badge, which is big, for the outlet. So yeah, in terms of like attending Anime Expo, it's been like at least a couple, more than a couple for sure.
Mhm. And Joey, for you, it's your absolute first time at Anime NYC, correct?
Yes, this was my first time, basically first time for everything in a way. Like, it's just my
Mm,
first time attending, first time also providing media coverage for for VTuber NewsDrop.
okay.
So it's like definitely an experience.
Gotcha. So I just want to compare and contrast, like, what's the difference between covering the event versus just being a regular attendee?
I would say when you're covering an event, you write down certain things that you want to cover for the outlet or for the website. For example, for Anime Expo, I went and attended for the weekdays I was there for. And on those weekdays, our editor in chief, Jay, gave me a set list of items to check out for the event, which include some of the gatherings, the panels that were hosted by VTuber companies, some of the booths, and so on. So, kind of a checklist of what to do in terms of like what coverage needs to be taken, either video or photo or whatnot. Um, but as an attendee, like you're kind of free to just roam around and just like go and do whatever you feel like you want to or whatever interests you. And that's much more something that it's funny because for me, like I always feel like I'm working out a con, one way or another. So like I've been doing this for a very long time. Even prior to VTuber NewsDrop, I used to cover anime conventions in general for about a good 10 years.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I know. It's funny for me because I don't know what it feels like to be an attendee. I've
Oh,
always been on
interesting.
the grind one way or another. But what I can say is like the times I have doing the attendee, it's very much like what interest do I want? What do I want to check out? And I have the freedom to like if I can't make it to something, I can skip it and go say hi to friends or get some food or whatnot. So it's
Mhm.
much more loose and like free form when it comes to attendee. Working wise, there's a certain amount of items and things I have to get done and cover for the websites. So that I would say that what the difference is for me.
Gotcha. And for you, Jimmy?
Okay, for me, I have a similar. I feel like I share a similar sentiment to Clawmaster here. Like, I've only been starting to attending cons probably since 2023. So like for 2023, I attended like I think FanimeCon in San Jose for once, and then but then in 2024, all of the convention, 2024. I went to like I think a few conventions as both an attendee as and a volunteer. So it's like
Oh, okay.
I've so like the majority of cons that I go to nowadays, I either attend as an attendee if like say but then also like for instance this year I went to um I was at OffKai Expo. I was a staff member for their photo and video crew, but I was also an attendee. So basically, I kind of experienced the convention from from both angles in a way, and
Mhm.
I definitely feel like definitely been working more at a convention rather than like attending a con as like quote unquote an attendee. So I've always kind of like essentially blended in the work I do with just general curiosity and like exploring the convention. So like for instance here at Anime NYC, I also had a bullet point list of like here's everything I want to cover for VTuber NewsDrop, but I also left some basically free time in between shots where I can actually say quickly explore other aspects of the convention and maybe go to a booth, maybe go like for instance, like I checked out there was a Crunchyroll booth and they had the Sony Honda Mobility like Afila like Itasha out on display.
Well, that's cool.
Like it was pretty sick and I actually managed and we had I also lined up to actually get a look inside the car. Like they had like they had an Itasha, but they also had like a demo car like on display where you can actually get in there. The car's super cool. It's like a Tesla, but like a lot more advanced, and it's like super cool to kind of like experience like that as an attendee. But then also, but like yeah, I try to balance like the work I do in a way where like hey, it doesn't feel it doesn't feel very grueling. Like I can enjoy the things I do as an attendee, but also get the things I want to get for News Drop. So it was like for me it was a matter of just balancing um the two factors, and in the end, I had a great time. I covered all my spot. I covered everything I needed to do, and I also got to enjoy the con and actually browsing, anime like anime related merchandise, but also VTuber merchandise as well.
Gotcha. Cool. So this makes me want to ask. It's not a question that's on the list, but it's a question I kind of have like just popped in my head. What made you guys want to be field correspondents, like covering these events that you guys are really passionate about?
So for me, like, uh, it was funny. And this is how I got to VTuber NewsDrop. It was 2020. God, it was like 2022 maybe or 2023. It was early in the pandemic, and I was at Anime Expo. I had the mask on, and I was at the Nishisanji gathering. I was taking video, and initially I was going to have that uploaded into my YouTube channel, and I was thinking like, because for a while, I stopped doing the whole convention coverage on the website that I used to work for, and moved on to do other things. And initially I was going to restart that up on my YouTube channel. But then the more I thought about it, it's like, well, actually, I want to go in a different direction. So like I came across Jay on LinkedIn and I messaged him. So I was like, hey, look, I'm not using this footage. You can use it for your YouTube channel or for whatever you want to use it for. Um, and from there, it kind of got to the conversation of like, oh, um, I got because it's funny because I was like really deep into VTubers more so than I am today. And I was talking to Jay more so every so often about what they do over at VTuber NewsDrop. And eventually it led into me joining the website and joining the crew because like I said before, like I used to cover anime conventions for a very long time, and like the news hound in me just like wanted to keep going. So I reached out to Jay and I asked him like, hey, do you need a USA correspondent for your site to cover VTuber stuff over here for events and conventions? And he was totally down for it. So yeah, it was just more or less it's like I've been doing it for so long that I kind of missed it, and then I needed a way to do it with an outlet, and Jay was right there at the right time for me to ask about it for VTuber News Drop, and it was the perfect match of me loving VTubers and also me covering cons, and satisfying that need of like, oh, I must go and cover this as a field reporter in some fashion. So that's how I kind of got into this whole shindig.
Gotcha. Okay. And you, Jimmy?
So this was an extremely long like sequence of events that led me to covering for VTuber News Drop as a field correspondent. So essentially, um back in late 2024, I went to a small convention here in the SFA area as a media basically part of their staff team for media. and then
Mhm.
I learned about so there's someone named Renzu there, and then at that time I didn't know, but then later in like I think like February of like this year, 2025, I learned that she actually owned she actually had her own media agency called OTG. So I reached out to her and say, hey, like I am here based in the SF Bay Area, California. I'd be down to help you guys be a photographer for many events. And then she kind of got back to me. I kind of got onboarded into this. And then so when and then like for OffKai Expo, I was on their official staff team. But then that got kind of got me curious because like always wanted to go to Anime NYC at one point. So I reached out to her and I said, "Hey, uh, is OTG going to be covering that event? Because if it's so, I'll be down to fly over here." And she said, no, unfortunately, like OTG is still kind of like in startup mode. It's still very new to like kind of like adapting to conventions and things." So then she said, "Hey, know of I know VTuber NewsDrop. I can refer you to them if you'd like." So it's like, why not? Like put me in coach. So we did that, and so one day, so I sent Jay an email in July this year, and then early August, just about 2 weeks before Anime NYC, I got an email back from Jay saying, "Hey, um, hey Jimmy, we sorry for the delay. Welcome aboard. Would you like to be our field correspondent for Anime NYC?" So at that point, I already booked my tickets. I already booked my hotel. I was like, you know what? There's no turning back. Let's do it. So that's kind of how I got. That's kind of how I got here, and it's been a very fun experience so far. Like working with Jay, communicating, like you know, getting shots together, talking about like various aspects of the event. Like I would it was fun. I really enjoyed like working as a field correspondent, even though this is my very first time doing this for like an agency rather than like say the event organizer for a convention.
Okay. Okay. So it sounds like, just to sum up the three questions, all right, 3 to 4 questions I asked so far. So top 5 moments tend to be around like the community and just being a fan and just like seeing how people like show how much they appreciate that their favorite VTuber. Favorite stories are just like those small little moments of interacting with people that may not know about VTuber NewsDrop or have read VTuber NewsDrop before, and just saying, "Hey, your work is cool." And for and it's very different to be an attendee versus a field correspondent, where you have to be very driven to know to want to figure out what you want to talk about, but also be driven enough to address all of your set list. I actually had to do a similar thing for OffKai, and I had to like follow them to the T. So I understand that, and it's a lot too, but it's also like a really fun challenge as well. um I'm similar to Jimmy in that I'm also someone that doesn't do a lot of field correspondence, at least for an agency. But since both of you have a lot of experience just like covering events and stuff, what advice would you give to those that want to cover an event in the future?
I would say that for those who are kind of new to it or want to jump in, there is no time like the present, as cliche as it sounds. But when it comes to kind of just go for it and doing it, I would take the Kevin Smith approach and just do it. I think one of the things I would say is that, if you have a set list and you miss on one or two things, it's not the end of the world. It's fine. Just make sure that you do take breaks, that you do have time for yourself to eat and drink water, and also just if you want to like to sit down and just relax for a bit. Because you will be walking around a lot. You will be walking around the convention a lot. You will be going from one part of the con to the other part of the con multiple times for the following days that you're there. I would say to mainly just kind of make sure that you have time to mentally to I want to debrief, but no, decompress. So that you can, after you've had time for yourself and relax for a bit, you can get back up and go back to covering what needs to be covered. So I would say like those are the main things I would advise. I would say for those new coming into the space.
Yeah, I definitely feel that because when I covered my first event, I wore kind of like more business casual wear. I should have brought running shoes. That was one of my big mistakes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
oh my God, I walked so much. And then because it was in NorCal, it was a little bit on the hotter side too. So I was like, oh boy, it was a lot. So that is a very good tip. Have the shoes ready for it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And you, Jimmy?
I have multiple advice out, like many advice I would give to like someone new, especially since I just started doing some event photography like just like last year. I've learned a lot during this brief time here and doing this. It's like number one, very important, drink water. Like actually like carry water on your person at all times, because sometimes I tend to forget to drink water and like you do get very tired and at times. So I'd say drink plenty of water, pack snacks in your backpack in your bag as well for like, when you just want to quickly snack on something. So you're not like running out of energy. Do take regular breaks as well. I believe Clawmaster also added on to this. Like breaks are very important. Do wear more casual attire. You don't need to look very professional. If everyone at these conventions, they're all wearing casual because it's hot. It's very packed. You will probably be walking thousands of steps, like tens of thousands of steps, per day, and like that would be like the first thing I would say like as a new event like reporter or event photographer of any kind is definitely drink up on water, pack snacks in your bag, and take regular breaks if necessary. And another thing is don't be afraid to like speak to other folks in conventions. Like I've sometimes I'd say like I'm a little bit socially awkward at some of these events, but then I feel like being to many of these events over the past 2 years have definitely made me open up to like, hey, like just striking up a quick convo between like a vendor at a booth or maybe just like the cosplayer that's like next to you that like because like no all in all we're all here to have a good time and these people are many, 9 times out of 10 very happy to talk about maybe their cosplay, maybe their booth, or maybe like their like their yeah, just like talk about anything at this point, really. And another thing is like if you are a photographer, is definitely adapt the amount of gear you're carrying per day, depending on whether or not you are covering an event, like a specific event. Since like I learned this the hard way, like I brought basically my entire backpack full of gear, full of like like video camera. I got my photo camera, all the various lenses, and then that kind of got very heavy on my back, and that's probably not. And you probably um don't want to carry a lot of useless gear on you at all times. So it's definitely like adapt, improvise, and overcome is basically my motto for covering an event is things will change. Things, sometimes events get canceled, events may get delayed, or um, there could be changes in like, or maybe just like, you know what, I want to skip this. It's like definitely like have a rough plan of what you want to do once you're like before the event, but like don't feel obligated to like stick to it because things can get varied, things can change, and it's best for you to have adaptability in the convention environment, and that's basically what I'll say as a um, advice I would give to someone new to this to doing this.
Thank you all so much for that advice. Because, like, as someone who only covered one event, there's a lot of things that goes into it that I feel like people don't really fully understand unless they've done it themselves. So thank you so much for the advice, especially with like making sure you're taking care of yourself for covering these events. These events can be for multiple days, and carrying all of that equipment, like you mentioned, is a lot for multiple days, and then also be in a hot area because there's a lot of people and stuff. There's a lot of things to keep in mind. Let me see here. After this is okay. Yeah, we have a couple minutes. So my last question is: after attending these events, what would you hope to see more of at these events for VTubers and VTuber fans in the future?
I would say I would love to see more, just more VTuber booths. I would say more VTuber booths, more VTuber event, just more of everything. Honestly, again, like I said before, like VTuber stuff at anime conventions are the niche. They're not part of like the bigger scope of things, and I guess that kind of says like how what the zeitgeist when it comes to VTubers and the anime space. But I would say it was more of everything. I would love to see more panels. I'd love to see more events. I'd like to see more gatherings, more meet and greets, just more of everything. Um, and in a way, if I'm saying that, I'm going to be increasing my workload
Oh
in the near
boy.
future. So it's both like a good and a bad thing for myself. But but yeah, I would say just I think more of everything is great. I think one of my favorite things as of late watching is I love watching the we call it the walk out the live streaming at AnimeCons with when it comes to VTubers going in quote unquote in person, like Zentrea,
Yeah, with the robot and stuff.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
telepresence.
yeah. I love seeing I love watching those because I love the interactions that some of these people are who know VTubers and who don't know VTubers. So it's always like a fun thing to see and watch. It's always like one of my favorite things to watch. So like I would say, yeah, like I said, more of everything. I'll love to see at anime cons. And yeah, so much about it from me.
Jimmy, do you have any specific ones you want to mention?
Mm. So I'd say like some more sentiments to Clawmaster here. I definitely do wish for more VTuber content to be at more conventions, especially like which what Claw was mentioning about like telepresence robots. It may be a bit more tough to handle during like a high occupancy event like Anime NYC, but like hey, someone holding an iPad is still a very feasible way of handling it. And I'd say also another thing is like more like a healthy balance between independent, like indie and corporate,
Okay.
like booths and booths and vendors. That'll also be very nice to like kind of have like as much as like I really love Hololive, I do kind of feel like hey every VTuber, indie or corporate, deserves like some kind of presence here at these larger scale conventions. And then
Mm-hmm.
another thing is I do wish like VTuber NewsDrop to continue to like become a more like a trusted name in the VTubing community. Like I hope to see a future where hey at one point I bring up a name, people are like, oh hey, I read your news briefs or I follow like I get your news from you guys. So it's like definitely because like nowadays like I do feel like hey many people do can like don't know who we are, but like when I explain to them what we do, they really kind of like respect the work that we do. Because I do feel like one of the models that we kind of have here is like we cover VTuber news without like we cover drama, we cover the good and bad, but we do it in a very impartial and very neutral way. And that's something I really do appreciate, especially in this world where constantly we things can change very quickly. Having a respected name and a respectful like news source like NewsDrop definitely helps break out from the noise.
Yeah, that's something I really agree with. Like, it's hard to find key information about the VTuber space when there's just so much information. And I do agree that VTuber NewsDrop does bring a nice neutral voice to feel like, oh, this is what's happening in the big corporate VTuber space, but also here is what's happening with the independent VTuber space. Like that balance is really important. And yeah, I definitely agree that just seeing more VTuber stuff happening at conventions is just really cool and stuff like that. Like when I covered OffKai in 2024, there was like a whole section with VTuber tech and exploring like what is the future of VTubing looking like, even with robots being involved. So that was pretty cool. I like seeing like what is the upcoming technologies that VTubers can utilize for their content and such. But those are all of the 5 main questions I have for y'all. And I know it's already hit 45 minutes, but if you two have extra time, I would love to take questions from the chat, but also like just having a free chat overall on like um I'm just talking about VTubers in general. Like what VTubers are you guys watching so far? What's an indie that you guys want to talk about as well?
Oh, for sure. In terms of like VTubers I watch, it's a whole range. Nowadays it's mostly indies for the most part, but I do watch a little bit of corpo here and there, especially with Hall Life when they just had their big event in NYC. But in terms of like a specific like VTuber that I think is flying under the radar that deserve much more love. I may have to think about that for a second. Outside of myself, I mean, I am also a VTuber myself, so I could promote myself in that aspect.
I was
no,
like,
but
is he going to say
yeah.
himself?
No, that would just be too narcissistic. I would say like, I'm just kind of off the top of my head, like the one VTuber I can think of that is I think is the most, in my opinion, the most calming, the most chill VTuber to kind of put in the background. Also like the most like sweet as well is Honey Goblin, and I know Honey Goblin has a following. She is relatively big in the space, but it's always interesting to see that she's kind of doing her own thing and like it's kind of flying under the radar amongst the other big names out there. But like I would say Honey Goblin would be my pick.
Yeah,
She's
her
great.
art is really good too. Yeah.
Yeah, her art's great. She just has this very chill, calming presence. It's always a fun time to kind of put her in the background, and then she'll talk about whatever's going on with her life, or kind of talking about her artwork. Not so it's really cool. It's a really fun time. So I would say for sure it would be my pick.
Okay. And Jimmy?
Me, it's definitely like I've watched a lot of like Hololive talents at this point. I've been specifically following like developments on Gigi Mirin. Like she definitely kind of had a very nice like evolution over time. Like I think like a year ago she said that like she really wanted to perform live on stage, and 1 year later she did that. She was at All for One. I saw her sing like Wonky Monkey from Corone, and like it was a very fun
Nice.
experience. And I feel like watching that development from like, oh, like I really want to like do that, to actually her achieving it is an impressive feat. Like it's definitely because like she says, hey, I want to be an idol, and then 1 year later, there she was at the big stage. It's definitely a very rewarding and very emotional like development. And also, I do watch a few independents, but like definitely my schedules don't really align with many of them. There's a lot of names on top of my head that I cannot quickly like recall. But like I do kind of like try to like have a good balance between, I think if I would have to pick one, I'd have to pick a Mint.
Yeah,
Mint is
Mint,
great.
yeah. Mint is
Yeah,
great. Her singing
yeah,
is wonderful.
yeah. She's
I
great.
love her new outfit. I do have to say it's great.
Ooh, I have not seen. I've only seen the silhouette, so I have to check that out later.
quick
Like, because
story.
it's the
Oh,
new she has the it's the mint otaku. It's a very cozy outfit that she has on.
That's so
It's great.
cute.
yeah, it's great. Quick story about Mint at OffKai Expo.
Ooh, okay.
When I was covering OffKai Expo as part of the PPC team as well. One of the things that was on my list because I was looking for things to cover, and one of the things specifically that was put out there was a spit and greet with Mint Phantom. And I bring this up to my group and to the people running the schedules. I was like, can you put this down? I really want to know what this is. So, uh, she was on board with it, and I went to go and check out what it was. And basically, what it was is that it would have her meet and greet. But the way it worked was there was this arm attached to a picture of Mint, but where her mouth is was like a little small nozzle that
Oh,
on
okay.
Mint's end, she can push a button and like water would spit out. So whenever she got done with meet and greet, she would push a button and then the water would just spray onto the person
Oh my god.
directly from Mint Phantom's cutout with the nozzle from her mouth, kind of faking that she is spitting on you as you walk out. So that was a fun experience. That was great. I was like, because we're all curious to see how that would work, and that's how it was. Like, oh, that's actually pretty brilliant. All right, cool. That's awesome. So that was a fun little thing that they did.
There's a lot of creativity in the VTuber space, and those moments you're just like, oh my god.
I actually do have I do remember, I think at that same OffKai event, there was also, I think Doobie also, I think either Doobie or Doki, but I think they also had a very elaborate like meet and greet where there was like there's
Ooh.
an arm that can come out to like
Yes,
shake her
yes.
hand. I think it was Doobie. I think Doobie
Yeah.
just had like a thing rigged where like it's like a pneumatic arm. It's like an inflatable arm, like
Mhm.
oversized to look like Doobie's arm,
Oh
and
my
like
god.
you can shake it. It was really funny to
What?
watch. Like
I
innovation in the VTubing space is insane.
Yeah.
Also,
That's
I do
funny. That's
also
funny.
enjoy I think Shindigs. Shindigs
Oh,
did
hell
do a
yeah.
Oh,
panel.
Shindex is great.
Shindigs is
Mhm.
great. I love how like he keeps finding ways to like make like just do the craziest things with like OBS
Oh yeah.
and like making like it's like sky's the limit for him. Like he can
Oh yeah.
make a very interesting stream. Like it's always been like there's never a dumb moment from him. It's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love Shindex as well. Like the stuff he does on his streams are crazy and awesome at the same time. It's kind of like the mad scientist of YouTubing, and it's cool. But also the cool thing about Shindex is what I appreciate is that he would also like retweet like other VTubers who are also doing
Yes.
interesting stuff. That's how I found out about this is Goblin, which who is an animator, an actual animator, and got into VTubing, but is not using the traditional tools that everyone else would use. Like he's using the Adobe Animator to basically use his model to animate. And all of his
Ooh.
motions and all his motions and poses are all done by like hotkeys. And they're all animated sprites that he made, like actually animated in the whatever program he used or in Adobe animator and made it work. It's really cool because it's funny enough. It was a program I was thinking about a long time ago when I was trying to get to VTubing and what should I use it to rig my model and whatnot. And that was something I was thinking about trying to figure out. Why I couldn't do it. I couldn't figure it out. But this is Goblin did. So Shindig is always cool in terms of like finding. We're also doing interesting stuff as well. But yeah, it's a fun time regardless.
Yeah, that space is really fun to just observe and for me personally, since I do VTube in my free time, I like to like learn from them as well. Like, okay, what can I take when I have free time? What can I use in the future and stuff?
Mhm.
And I really like the recommendation that Shindig does. This is like a little off topic, but since me and Clawmaster are both VTubers, Jimmy, have you thought about VTubing before?
It's definitely something I've considered. I know many folks around me that have that have done VTubing before. It's definitely like an interesting thought to like have in mind. But also like, oh, Clawmaster, I was mentioning about Shindig's. The thing there's this one VTuber that they mentioned. The thing it's Tyjiro, Tyjiro, where it's basically I think they had hand drawn scenes and like their stream is very like cohesive in a way where it's like, hey, here I am, I'm on a subway, I'm here at a store. There's kind of like scene. It kind of feels more than just like a two what like just a regular stream. It's just something that I think he's featured before, and like yeah, I do agree. Like innovation in this space is great.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember seeing Taichiro's content. It's like it feels like a pencil hand drawn in watercolor and such, and then like there's creatures walking, like there's so much happening in the stream, but it's very calming too.
yeah. No,
Exactly.
I think the coolest thing, under one of the things for me when it came to looking at these other VTubers and like looking at what Shinix is sharing, one of the things I kind of took away from it is like because as a 2D person, one day I will be 3D. Like when it comes to 2D VTubing, like you gotta have to think of like perspectives and like how exactly you can present that in a way that is immersive. And like you have your traditional like hey, you're gonna have your VTuber right in front, and then you can have the chat next to you, or you can have your desk, and the desk is like overlaying on top of you, so it looks like that you're behind the desk. And then like taking that idea in terms of like, okay, well, what can you do with that perspective, in terms of like what ideas you can come up with. And there are some things that I could discover, but also discovered elsewhere. I think one of the things that is simple as like if you're closing up on a person, you can like blur the background, like it's like kind of field of focus is like now on you, makes it more realistic.
Mm.
And
Hmm.
other ideas of like hey, if you have your model and you have where you can darken the back of your model or the front of your model to look like your back and looking like you're looking something in front of you instead of front facing is another idea
Oh.
that is you could possibly do as well in terms like hey, you can now look at whatever this the thing you're looking at versus just like put it on screen behind you. So like
That reminded me of like how Zentrai would do the Euro Truck Simulator. She would be like facing
yes,
forward and driving, and then whenever
yes.
like she goes into a crash, she would like simulate just falling out of her seat.
Yeah, absolutely. I think another one is just like having VTubers like drive per se, and then have them people in their car, and having like some sort of like background to make them look like they're in motion. So like it's
Mm.
interesting ways to like kind of play with perspective when it comes to that. When it comes to 2D VTubing, and it's always a a challenge, but also like a kind of a cool way to kind of like really think deep in terms like how exactly am I gonna able to pull this off, and as far as like what I'm going for versus like the challenges that comes with it. So it's always fun. It's always cool like thing to kind of go after.
Definitely, and like adding more immersion to it. Like I feel like that's why a lot of VTubers are going towards 3D more rather than 2D. Because 2D, while it has its great gimmicks and such, but 3D feels like it's more applicable if you want to do more IRL simulated content. I remember seeing one
Yeah.
VTuber that uses a 3D model, but she literally does like mocap DIY. So she would literally be building something and you just see this cat girl like climbing a ladder and like disassembling something or something like that. Or with onigiri where you can see her mocap cooking, and that's a really cool like way to simulate it too.
Yeah, I think that's the easy answer is just go 3D because you can put yourself in so many environments and able to move around in much more 3D space.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's very much in that aspect of like you can do so much more, especially with water though the new
Oh, wow,
VTuber.
yeah.
Yeah, that has been like a bastion of like cool stuff you can do in that program when it comes to 3D
There's a lot
VTubing.
of like 3D software that's out. Like Binyan is one. I know my friend is making Snack Studio. And then yeah, Warudo is one. I remember when I first started with a 3D space. Oh, someone mentioned in the chat Hatsuri Shinonome. Her blending of 3D model and IRL footage is so cool. Actually, is that the name of her? Let me check real quick. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff happening. I just want to
Yeah.
check what this user said.
Oh, cool.
Sure thing. I want to look
Yeah.
this person up too. I think I might have seen this VTuber before. Let me just double
Let me also take a
check.
look.
Yeah, because I just love finding new VTubers. Like, honestly, I would love to see, like, hey, here's an independent segment. Like, who is the independent of the week for VTuber NewsDrop? And just talking about that, interviewing that person.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. She's like doing construct. She's like doing DIY work. Like I'm looking at like picture like basically photos here. And
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, this is the one that I
Yeah.
saw. Yeah, and she was just climbing. So I was like, whoa, that's so cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's rad. It reminds me of the other VTuber, I call him the mad scientist VTuber, where because it was an OffKai Expo not this year but last year when he had a panel.
Wait, did he like make something explode?
No.
Wait. Hold up.
He tried to. Okay, I forgot the name. I'm pretty sure if I look it up, it's on. Actually, it's on YouTube channel because I edited that video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I remember specifically editing that video. Also because like it was kind of hard to do so because they kept moving the damn camera. So it's just like in my head I'm just like hold still, damn it. But it was with who is it? How you say that? Slab.
Yeah, Ulaslab. Yeah, that's the one I
Yeah.
was thinking about. I was like, I remember something exploding when I just popped in on a stream once, and I'm like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah. No, his
Anything
stream
can
his
happen.
stream is just wild. I think I remember
Mhm.
seeing one time he cooked a chicken using like molten lava or molten
Oh
just
my
really
god.
hot. Yeah, and actually able to like cook it and he ate parts of it, not the raw part, but was
But the
careful
cook
about
part,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. So like stuff like that has always been interesting. So seeing something like this is like it's always very interesting to see the combination of like the real life VTubing and how you can uh go with an idea like that. It's cool. It's always fun. That's why VTubing is super rad.
Hmm. Definitely. I
I
know
do
that.
agree.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. Go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
Jimmy.
I do know that, yeah, like 3D VTubing definitely has, like, hey, you've added another dimension. It adds, you have so much to work with. It's great. I do agree that uh, there is a lot of like potential. There's a lot of like creativity. That's what like keeps bringing me back to like VTubing in general. Is because like you know like everything you can do anything. The sky is basically the limit for like how you want to present yourself in this
Hmm.
space. It's great.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's sky's the limit, honestly. And it's a cool thing of like, and you don't have to be like an anime avatar person. Like you can
Definitely
be
not.
anything. No, like I think my favorite example I give to people, and this is an actual real VTuber, that I follow, but there is this VTuber that is also into fighting games, and is part of the
Oh, okay.
FGC, but his okay, so his tag is hot dog bong water 420, and he's an actual uh bong VTuber, like
Oh my
straight up.
god.
And he's just straight up an actual bong. Like it's on his Twitch channel and he basically says like, he's here to play fighting games and just like chill and smoke weed.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Oh
I
yeah,
just
that,
the SpongeBob and
that's
Patrick
fun.
one. I was like, and then there was a Sonic one too. I remember seeing that.
yeah, absolutely. And like, yeah, I think that one of the things that's interesting, I remember it's funny, I just had this conversation with Anime Expo with the person I interviewed, but
Mm.
we're talking about like how brands are branching out to VTubers possibly in terms of like having their own VTuber. I know that Netflix for a while, beginning of the pandemic, had their own for tumultuous stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, Hall Life with doing the Hall Life night at the Dodger Stadium, um, uh, 2 years in a row, and having VTuber talents come on and celebrate the Dodgers, but also celebrate what they're doing. So like, it's interesting to see like the evolution of like corporate brands also kind of trying to get into it and to see how it fares for them. It's not for everyone, obviously, or not for every company, but it is interesting. It's very cool to see, regardless, to see what they do. But yeah, no, it's freaking rad. Yeah, SpongeBob and Patrick. Yeah, absolutely. Like that was fun to see. That was awesome.
Yeah, gosh. It's really cool that like there's so many different ways that VTubers can be presented, but I also feel like those moments can be really hard to find if you're not actively looking for it. So that's why I feel like I hope that VTuber NewsDrop can cover more of those things so that they get more of a highlight to show that hey, cool stuff has always happened in the VTuber space. You just need to find it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I know we're coming to time. Is there any like last words you want to share with the audience regarding being a field correspondent for NewsDrop or just about VTubers in general? I believe you have about like 3 minutes or so.
I'll let Jimmy go first because I will always go first on these things so far.
I feel like we're pretty much in a very good era for VTubing right now. Like we have like you know um a lot of like raw talent coming out of like both spectrums, indie and corporate. Like I was earlier mentioning, like Hololive with their with Justice really did showcase like how like they were able to pick like very good talent and like um kind of like continue this like loop of them like basically like cultivating like idols in a way like that's something that I'm really enjoying. And also you do see a lot of like raw talent like on the other side of the spectrum with it in the indie VTubers. Like earlier we were talking about all of the innovations in the 3D in the 2D 2.5 2.5D and also 3D spaces. I definitely feel like there's no better time to be a VTuber fan like at this at this given moment. And I do hope that VTuber NewsDrop will continue to be the place where we showcase like the unique talents like to everyone.
I do agree with that.
And then for me, could you repeat the question? Sorry, just kind of
Oh,
zoned out for a
just
second.
any last words as a VTuber field correspondent or just about VTubers in general?
So, I think my farewell words I would say is that, support VTuber News Drop. I think that when it comes to independent media out there, I think that VTuber News Drop is one of traditional media outlets out there, the written word. And you definitely have videos and obviously, but like it is very much in that traditional outlet that like it's cool to see still cool, still kicking around. And I honestly believe that VTuber News Drop is carving its own niche in terms of, like, what coverage it does, versus like what is out there right now. And it's pretty cool to see the evolution of things. I think that the work I've done so far this year has been great. I think that I really enjoyed working. I really enjoy working with VTuber News Drop. I think that having like the opportunity to go to a Hall Live concert and cover Mori Calliope's first solo, and then also on top of the interview the next day was mind blowing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that having opportunities to go to more events and to more things that normally, I wouldn't be able to by myself, but having the ability to do so under this outlet is always fun to do. I think it's a cool thing. I think that VTuber News Drop is kind of going in the right direction, and I hope that it grows, and I hope that there be much more of a swell of support and a much more of a bigger following in the coming years. And it's that's I would love to see it grow. I would love to see it get bigger. And kind of see where this ride takes us. Um, so I would say, yeah, my lasting words is go support independent media, go support VTuber NewsDrop. Your number one source for VTuber news. That is straight and narrow and nothing else.
All right,
Exactly.
so thank you two so much for taking your time out of the day just to talk about your experiences covering Anime NYC and Anime Expo 2025. Highly appreciate it, and even dive it into like the inner workings of being a field correspondent. So just thank you so much for your guys' time.
Yeah, not a problem.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm gonna go ahead
Definitely have to be there.
and yeah, make sure to follow the VTuber NewsDrop channel along with supporting the charity event. So this special segment was to help support the Immune Deficiency Foundation, which is part of Iron Mouse's charity event. Please donate for her cause. It helps all of those that have immunocompromised disorders and such. So please consider supporting. I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. Thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully I can do a similar segment in the future.
Thanks
See
for watching.
y'all. Thank you.
Thanks for watching.